Hey folks, I'm Yash Makan and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to learn how we can use Hive package in Flutter. So if you don't know what Hive means, then basically Hive is used to store data locally inside of a Flutter application. So what I meant by that is, for example, we have to store some user data, or for example, we have to store some profile details. Then we can store these details locally instead of storing in a server in the backend and then calling a API for that, which requires internet. We can store these details locally as well. So to fetch and store these data locally, we can use Hive package. So Hive can store string, integer, boolean, list, and even classes as well. So I'm starting a brand new series where we are going to cover one package in a video, and we are going to create a demo application with that package. So in this part, we are going to cover Hive inside Flutter. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, then make sure to do that as well, as more of these amazing videos are coming soon on this channel. So with that being said, let's dive in. So we are on our laptop, and basically let me open a Google Chrome, and this is the package that we are going to cover in this video. The package name is Hive, and the latest version is 2.2.3 that we are going to use in this video. All right, so as you can see in the documentation in the pub.dev, the package website, here there is written as Hive is a lightweight and blazing fast key value database written in pure Dart. So basically it's a key value database, like a NoSQL database, and we have data in the form of JSON, right? And you can see the documentation as well, and you can see that it's cross-platform, great performance, simple, powerful, and intuitive API. It has strong encryption built in and no native dependencies. So any Android or iOS native dependencies are not there, and batteries included as well. Awesome. So on the performance side, you can see the benchmark as well, that the Hive is quite faster than SQLite, right? So for 1000 read iterations, SQLite takes approx 2 seconds for integer and 2.6 seconds for integer and more than 2 seconds for string for reading 1000 iterations. But whereas shared preferences, lazy Hive and Hive take way less, like very less time. Similarly, for 1000 write iteration, both SQLite and shared preferences take much longer. Here the shared preferences is taking 15 seconds for strings, but in Hive it is taking way shorter time as well. So as you can see, why Hive is not only easy to use, it is also faster than shared preferences and SQLite as well. What I like to note here is that Hive versus SQLite, it depends, because in Hive the query part is not very strong like SQLite. We have SQL queries in this package, but for querying data, it's very difficult in Hive. So if you want to query a lot of data to sort, so I'll recommend using SQLite. Otherwise, you are good with Hive only. Awesome. So let's just implement a demo application using the Hive package. So what I'll do is that I'll open up the Android Studio, and then let's click on new Flutter project. You can use any other editor as well, but I prefer Android Studio. Okay. Now I'm going to use the Flutter SDK path. So my Flutter version is 3.0.2. Click on next here. Now what I'm going to do is that name of a project. So I'm going to name it as Hive Demo App. Give it a project location. Hive Demo App. Perfect. Now platform set as Android and iOS, and set everything remain the same, and click on finish. Now what this will do is that this will automatically create a Flutter project for you. You don't have to do anything. So let's just speed this process up, and that's it. So it's still indexing the files that we are having, but our project is completely built. Now what we have to do, switch over to the project window. Here we have our sample code inside lib folder. Inside main.dart, we are having this boilerplate code that we are having. So let's just remove that. So I'm going to remove this complete widget, this complete stateful my home page widget. Awesome. Now we are going to do is that open up the pubspec.yaml, and below the Cupertino icons add another dependencies, that is Hive. Also, I wanted to mention that we are also going to use Hive_Flutter. If you go to Hive_Flutter package, you can see that it's an extension for Hive that we are going to use. So Hive and Hive Flutter. Hit the pub get now. So here what you have to do is that you have to initialize Hive. So what we'll write is that, so make it as asynchronous okay. So we have to import it. So I'm going to import hive.init flutter. So this will initialize the Hive package for us. Now what we have to do is that hive.openBox, and then we can pass the name. So basically what box here represent is that box is a place where we can store the data, right? So I can pass the name of the box here. So for example, I have to store details of a user, then I can say that user profile. So this will be the name of the box, and then we have to first open the box, and then we can use that inside our app, right? Okay. So inside our lib folder, let's go and create a directory. And here, let's create a file as database, right? Now let's create a class as database. Cool. Now static initialize, and inside this function we are going to call all our boxes that we are having, right? So let's make it async as well, and let's just import Hive here. Perfect. Can remove this. So first we have to initialize it, initialize the Flutter Hive package, and after then we have to initialize our database that we just created. That's it. Let's add await here as well, because initialize is asynchronous. Now we can create a class for boxes. So here all our boxes will be stored. So for example, static user profile, and here I'll create a box like this, static string, and then I can simply open up this box like that, right? So we can use the key whenever we want, and then we are using these variables. Awesome. So let's create a mini demo application where the user can add note, and they can create, read it, update it, and delete them as well, right? So all of the CRUD functionality we are going to implement. So we are going to create a node-based application where there will be a text field, and the user can enter anything, and that thing can be stored, right? Awesome. So let's create our boxes, how many boxes we'll be having, and then let's create our database, right? So we are having only one box in this situation, that is the notes. So I'm going to create that, and the key you can pass anything. So I'm going to call it as notes only. Okay, cool. That's it. So in this function, we are initializing our database. So basically, we can simply cut this out and paste it here only. And inside the main.dart, we can simply import boxes on initialize, right? Cool. After then, what we are going to do is that after initializing, we can simply say static notes box. We'll pass box here as well. Hive dot box, and then pass the name. So what this will do is that we can basically access the box later on very easily. So all of these steps are not mandatory. We can simply initialize it, and then we can call the box and we can use that. But in this way, it's much more structured if you're having a bigger application or a project that you're working on where there are a lot of boxes. So you can maintain the core structure as well for yourself and your teammates as well, right? So we'll initialize our notes box as well. Awesome. So now inside our database, we can create functions like static add note, which will take a string note. Now, whenever we call this add notes for function, it will take a string and it will automatically add that note inside our notes box, right? So what we'll do is that we'll call our notes box. So boxes dot notes box dot, and then we can say, so inside here we have put all, put at, right? And we are also having add. So a box can be used as list and as a map as well. So you can store list of items as well and map as well. So for our situation, let's just use add here, right? So I'm going to add that particular node in the list, and that's it. So what this line will do is that this will call our notes box, that is the notes box, and then add the note that we are passing. Cool. Similarly, we are going to create read nodes. So what this will do is that this will return list of string. That means the nodes that we are having, right? So I'm going to return it. So we can simply say list dot from, can pass the elements. So what this will do is that inside our nodes box, it will get all the values, that means all of the nodes, and then convert that into a list. Now we are using list.from because the toList method creates a dynamic list, and we want a list of string because our nodes are string, right? So that is why I use list string dot from. So this line will automatically convert our node boxes into string of list. So this way we can read nodes, all of the nodes. We can add nodes. Similarly, if we want to update a node, so how can we do that? So a list cannot update, right? So what we'll do, we'll create a node ID, and then we are going to say like put node ID and that particular node. Correct? Now we can do is that static update node string. We can get the node ID, and then we can simply boxes dot nodes box dot put node ID and string updated node. Let's put it ahead of this, right? So this will add node. This method will use to read the nodes, and this will update a specific node with the help of the node ID that we are having. Correct, right? So we can remove this part as well, I think, yeah, and say add only. So this will add, this will read all the nodes, this will update. Now if you want to delete a specific node, how can we do that? Delete node, node ID, delete, and then we can pass our node ID, right? So we can create a node, we can update it, we can read it, and we can delete as well. Perfect. So we can use all of these functions inside our app now, right? So let's just go to our main.dart file and let's create a home page. Let's remove the banner, debug show check mode banner as false, and let's create a views folder here. And inside the views folder, create a Dart file as home page. Now import the material dart, create a stateful widget name as homepage, and import it right here. Perfect, right? Now what we'll do is that create a scaffold. Now we are going to create the UI part for this, the demo app that we are going to make, right? So we are going to initialize our database. Perfect. Now the body as a column, size box of height, let's add 40. Create a text field. Now I'm not going to focus on the UI part for now, just the functionality, right? Awesome. Now let's again add 40. Use expanded widget to create a list view. Builder, item builder, item count. So item count, what item count will be? So we are having our database. Oh, because these are static, right? So we don't have to use a constructor. We can directly call these. So database, okay, dot, and then we can say read notes dot length. So this will read all of the nodes and pass the length of that. Now we are going to create a builder. So I'm going to pass the build context as well as the int index, and then return a list style where the title will be text, and then database dot read notes of the specific index. So this way we are going to read all of the nodes. So item count will show the number of nodes that we are having, and then we are going to render that nodes that is stored in our local database, right? Now inside the text field, what we are going to do is that we are going to change on submitted value. Here we are going to add the value to our database. So we are going to call our database dot add a node, pass the value. After then calling the set state. Why set state? Because set state will rebuild the UI, right? So it will recheck what are the number of nodes that we are having, and then it will rebuild the list style as well for us. So this way we are going to add a node. Now in the trailing, I'm going to add an icon button, icon as icons dot delete red. Okay. We have to pass on pressed as well. So let's add that as well. So on clicking the delete button, what this will do, we are going to call the database again, delete the node, Now we have to get the note ID. So that is easy, right? We can simply say database read notes. Let's create a variable here. So now read notes will return this. Because we also need the key also. So instead of passing as list of string, we are going to create a map of it. List of map. Right. Okay. So list of, not list of map, just the map. Great. Now here, what we are going to do is that notes dot values element at index. Right. Similarly, what I'm going to do is that delete the note at the specific keys. Set state as well. Perfect, right? So we are having a notes. So let's just remove this variable also. Read notes. Cool. So on clicking the dustbin icon, what this will do is that this will delete the note. So first it will read the notes, then get the element at that particular index and then delete that node. So in the keys, we are having our ID of that particular node, right? Cool. So now we can delete it, we can add it, and we can view as well, right? Now the only thing left is the update part. So on clicking on tab, we are going to create a text controller, text editing controller as a controller equals to text editing controller. So what this will do, we can pass the controller here, and on clicking the list style, we'll say that okay, we want to update this list style, then controller.text equals to this text. Inside the leading, we'll say icon icons.check colors.green. Correct. So now let's create a gesture detector and app is update mode equals to false. We'll set this and then set state. Okay, now we'll create a boolean is update mode equals to false. Now whenever we click we are simply going to say that is update mode equals to true, and then we are going to use set state, right? Now whenever we are on submitting, if is update mode equals to true, then we are going to update that particular node. So we are going to pass the value and then the node ID we are going to pass. Else we are going to add that node. Now for the node ID, let's create that also. So string node ID, that's it, right? Now on clicking the leading, we'll say node ID equals to null, and on tapping, we'll say node ID equals to the key, right? And node ID not equals to null. Perfect. So we have created the update part, the add part, the read part, and the delete part as well. So let's just run the app, right? What are you waiting for? The demo is completed, right? We've created the database, all of the functions that we're having, and created a demo app. So let's just run the app and wait for it. So I'm going to speed this up and I'll meet you after the complete process. So as you can see that our app is successfully installed, and let's just open up my emulator, right? So that you guys can see the phone as well. So as you can see, we have text field and a list view, right? Now, if I click here, add some note, so example, WhatsApp video part 10 I have to make. So I can click on submit and you can see that WhatsApp video part 10 is showing right here, right? Now this for, and let's make it 0 only because the list we also have some padding also. As insert start 0. Cool. Now we are able to see the leading as well. So what we'll do is that is update equals to true, only then you have to show, otherwise don't show. So let's make it a size box, right? Or let's pass null only. Let's refresh and it's removed as well. Also on submit, let's just go here and do controller dot clear. Correct, right? So let's just hot restart. Now after even hot restarting, you'll still see the WhatsApp video P10 right here. This is because this is stored in our local database Hive. Now I can say anything else like Hive video upload. Click enter. You can see that we have Hive video upload right here. Now I can delete as well. So if I click on delete, we have an error. Let's see the error. So it says that int is not a subtype of type string here. So basically the keys part, so key is like 0, 1, 2, 3, the index value, right? So we have to, so the node ID is nothing but a int instead of string. Let's just edit that part inside here. Let's just see where the error is coming. Okay. So the note ID here also we have to create as int only. Great, right? Let's just hot restart. Now if I click on delete, you can see that WhatsApp video P10 is deleted. I can say new memo, click on submit, it's automatically added. Now I can delete it as well and it's removed. Also, if I want to update, so update style, I click enter, but unfortunately instead of passing A, I clicked S here. So what I am going to do is that I can click on it, and what this is doing is that this is basically checking all right now, right? So I can basically update and then on submit, and you can see that the update tile is also updated. Now after on submitting, we have to set the what we called the is update mode equals to false, so that whenever we click on submit, yep, so for example new one on submit, it's right here, let's click update, boom, it's new too. So that's how we can do this. Only thing that is a problem right now is that whenever I click on thing, it will show the check mark on all of the tiles, and we don't want that, right? So we can simply solve it by saying that is update mode equals to true and the index equals to right. So basically the keys are like 1 2 3 4, and then we have to subtract 1 so that it will match with our index of the tiles here. Right, awesome. I click here again, it will be removed. Now if I do something like new 3, it will be added as well. I can delete it, I can update it, updated, and I can clear. So as you can see, we have simply created a create, read, update, delete methods inside our database class here, and then we are simply calling those methods only inside on clicking on long press on submitting, etc. Right? So this was a basic demo of how to use Hive. Now I also wanted to let you know some interesting facts about Hive as well. So the encryption part is also inbuilt inside Hive only. So whenever we are opening a box here, what you can do is that you can pass the encryption cipher as well. So what this basically is, if you go to the Hive documentation or the pub.dev site, you can see that the encryption is built in, right? So how you can use the encryption is basically, okay, it's somewhere here. So let's go to the documentation. And here inside the encrypted box, you can see that you can use the Flutter secure storage package and then create a encryption key from that, right? And then after then we can simply pass that encryption key to our Hive open box. So inside our encryption Hive cipher, what we can do is that we can pass that particular encryption key that we are having. How can we generate that encryption key? We can use the secure storage package only, right? So this way you can create a encrypted Hive as well, encrypted storage, so that any hacker or anyone cannot simply reveal what is being stored. So if you want to store some personal or important data that you don't want anyone to be shown, then you can use this encryption method as well. And this uses a AES 256 encryption algorithm. So you don't have to do anything manually. It's just inbuilt inside Hive only, right? Another great thing about Hive is that there are lazy boxes. So whenever you open a box, like a normal box like we are opening here, this will fetch all of the data that we are having and will store that in cache memory. So sometimes it's good to store all of the data inside the cache memory. So you've already noticed that all of these functions are not part of future, as we are not using await and asynchronous. We are simply calling these functions in real time inside our build method. But what why but why we are able to do this in real time is because when we initialize and open our box in Hive, then we are simply storing all of the data, key and value inside our cached local storage, right? So if you don't want this behavior, then you can use a LazyBox as well. So what will LazyBox do is that LazyBox will simply store all of the key value only. It will not read the value. So inside a JSON, so for example, we have a JSON, there will be keys, right? So we have one something, and then we have one here, another string, something like that. So with the help of lazy load, it will only get the 0, 1s and 2s. And then we can fetch the value later on with the help of the keys that we are having, right? But with the help of boxes, it will fetch all of the data, right? So it will simply fetch everything, the keys as well as the values. Awesome. So that's it for this video. I wanted to show you the complete Hive demo that we can do. Also, if you wanted to store a class as well, then you can use type adapters that you can see in the documentation as well. So if you want to store some custom objects, so Hive supports list, map, date, time, unit, list, string, integer, etc. But if you want to store some custom objects, some classes as well. So for example, I create a class right here, a class for person, and that's it. So we can store this custom object in Hive as well, right? How we can do that? We have to register the adapter for that. So it's a complete different process. So we have to, inside our main function, we have to first register the user adapter that we are having. And what user adapter basically do is that this will simply pass our custom user model here inside that, and we have to pass the type ID as well. So this process is a bit trickier to store the classes. What I prefer is that what you have to do is that simply go here and create a toJSON method for this. Now what this will return? This will return something like the JSON object. Similarly for the age and similarly for the location. Let's copy paste this age as well. Similarly, just create a from JSON as well. So let's semicolon. We can simply pass the JSON name, JSON age, JSON location, like that, right? Now if you want to create another function like static store person, we can simply pass the person model and then boxes. Let's create another box for that. Persons. Let's open the box as well. Let's create a box for person as well. And now we can simply say boxes dot person box dot add person dot to JSON. So instead of saving as class only, what you have to do is that simply create a JSON object and add that. And if you want to fetch, then you can simply fetch as well. So simply say static get person and then pass the person ID boxes dot person box dot get at. So for example, let's create a function or get first person, right? And let's create 0. So this will fetch the dictionary, and then we can simply say person dot from JSON and pass that and return this. So we can say person right here. So this will store the person model and this will return the person model. So we can, this way, I prefer to store my classes and by creating to JSON and from JSON methods, right? So that's it for this video. I hope you understood. So basically in this video, we've learned the basic add note, create, read, update, delete as well. And we've also talked about how to store classes as well. And if you want to check more, then you can read the documentation. It is very well written as well. And if you want to check some advanced topic in depth, then go check that out, the LazyBox and the encrypted box as well. So that's it for this video. I hope that all of the concepts inside Hive package are crystal clear inside your brain. And if you have any doubts as well, then make sure to drop below that as well in the comments or in my social handles as well. If you found this video informative, then make sure to like it and also share it with your friends as well. So I'm Yash Makan. Peace out.